5 science mysteries that have got even more baffling recently. The definition of mysterious has changed drastically over the centuries. What may have been a baffling secret of nature in, say, the 13th century would be a common knowledge by now. Understanding of the world has got a lot more better thanks to steady advancements in science and technology. That's not to say that mysteries don't exist anymore. There aren't always been something that our current set of knowledge can't explain. In fact, it is essential to have things we are yet to figure out to grow and progress as a society. From the mysteriously diverse wildlife under Antarctica to how exactly the sun works. Here are the 5 unsolved mysteries that have got even more baffling the last time we checked up on them. Hello guys, I'm your boy Navneet and you're watching FoxBit Tech. Number 5. Science keeps finding alien-like ancient creatures. All throughout history, the question of exactly where we came from has been on everyone's mind. For some, it's a philosophical question, but for scientists, it's a literal one. How did humans live and life in general start physically on Earth is still largely a mystery. Even if we have made tremendous efforts in that field recently, we now know a lot about early life on Earth, thanks to better excavations and analysis techniques. While we have answered many questions about the origins of life on Earth, research teams keep finding stuff that simply refutes everything we think we knew. As an example, consider the various alien-like species that have found and still keep finding in the Canadian Rockies, particularly from the Cambrian period. Many of these species couldn't be classified according to any of our evolutionary models, making us rethink the whole thing every now and then. Number 4. The evolution of turtles is still a mystery. Turtles occupy an interesting place on the family tree. It is an animal that has successfully freed itself from the laborious yet crucial role of getting a house, simply by being born with one on its back. If you think that it's not easy to trace its evolutionary roots, you wouldn't be right. Scientists have never had much idea about where turtles really come from, though a basic understanding of them has certainly come a long way in the recent times. That understanding, though, was challenged by the recent discovery of a turtle-like animal some 220 million years ago. According to scientists, the animal that should have been at that place in the family tree of turtle should have a beak and a pair of 2 holes in its back, just like turtles. If we cross-checked it with other fossils found around at that time, we didn't find that they don't align with this discovery either. Number 3. We still don't entirely get the sun. If you think about it, the sun must have been the most mysterious thing in the world for an early man. Here you are, barely making sense of the world around you, full of various types of life, diverse landscapes, and weird weather patterns. Absolutely nothing. However, compared to a giant ball of fire hanging in the sky that rises from one side of the horizon every day and sets into the other. Is it controlled by a higher entity? Will they switch it off someday? These are the questions our ancestors would have been faced with without anyone to answer. Of course, our understanding of the sun has improved quite a bit from those times. Thanks to modern science, we now know that the heat of the sun doesn't come from fire, but rather complex nuclear fusion reactions in its core. That said, the sun still holds many mysteries we may never know the answer to them, as it's impossible to actually go there and take readings. That doesn't mean that we can't raise the bar for how close we can go and get better observations, which is exactly what the team behind the Parker Solar Probe believed. The probe has been the closest we have ever got to the sun, though instead of answering questions, the mission raised entirely new ones. Their observations suggest that things on the sun are actually much and much more chaotic than we had previously thought. For one, the probe found that the sun is regularly hit by sweeping magnetic waves so powerfully that they temporarily revert the local magnetic field. More importantly, they found that the waves and the solar winds on the sun travel at least 20 times faster than any standard model of the sun we have. If we could account for that discrepancy and understand exactly what's going on there, it would be a much better place to safeguard ourselves from the harmful solar waves that could someday kill all electricity on Earth. Number 2. We don't know anything about the oldest animals. While on one hand we are finding completely unknown species, we are still no closer to finding the beginning of the tree of life Earth as we see it on the other. While it's true that our ability to look into the past has vastly improved in the recent years, especially in the fields of archaeology and excavation, dial the proverbial knob of history too far back, we would start entering the entire areas that are in the dark. Moreover, we keep finding things that challenge our previously held models of our lineage. Research has found that animals before the Cambrian period were entirely distinct from anything that came after, and we don't understand how. The complex traits we see in animals today, no matter how immensely we all are varied, are actually a result of an event called the Cambrian explosion, though the animals and the plant that existed before are a complete mystery to us. Number 1. Life under Antarctica is surprisingly diverse. When we first started scientifically researching and documenting all species on Earth, we were working under the assumption that life would be more diverse in more hospitable regions of the world. Life is actually more diverse and thriving in some of the more extreme regions of the world, and we still don't understand how. One of those regions is Antarctica, which also happens to be the only continent that's not permanently inhabited. We are not really talking about the surface, though, but the sea underneath, which is almost perennially frozen cover of ice. While we always knew the waters underneath Antarctica hold their own secrets, no one thought of it as a vibrant ecosystem for plant and animal life. It was when the photographer made his way down on the floor that he realized the sheer diversity and the number of organisms that call this hellhole home. From sea spiders to corals to sea stars, Antarctica's deep sea is surprisingly teeming with life, though we don't understand how. The photographer was mesmerized by the prolific life on the ocean floor that he called it a luxuriant garden. Again, this place is so hostile that they had to deal with a nerve damage for 7 months after the expedition. So, these are the mysteries that have got even more baffling recently. I hope you have enjoyed the video and added a bit knowledge to your brain that has a quite more mysteries. As always, if you benefit, give it a like, share so that others can benefit. Throw your views about this video below in the comment section. For more stuff, subscribe to my channel and hit the bell icon to get notified. See you in my next video. Bye bye.